because we do acknowledge that that there's the potential to disrupt people's travel. We do need more information, I think, and at this point, consistent with the framework that we have put in place, I've made the decision to pause flights from New South Wales for a period of 48 hours. That will come into effect at 11:59 p.m. tonight. We will keep that under constant review during that time. Obviously, if we gather more information during that time that gives us more confidence and means we can ease that restriction earlier, then of course we reserve the ability to do that. And then if over that period of time further information comes to light that means we need to extend that, then we have the ability to do that as well. I do acknowledge that this is going to cause disruption for people who were travelling in the next 48 hours from New South Wales to New Zealand. This isn't a decision we take lightly, but we indicated when we opened up the Trans-Tasman travel bubble that we would continue to be cautious. We are continuing to be cautious. We have taken a period to assemble as much information as we can. Obviously, if we could get more information that gave more certainty, we may not have needed to make this decision, but ultimately we haven't yet got that information, so we basically need some more time. Those people who are in New Zealand and who have travelled to New Zealand from New South Wales over the last 6 days will be being contacted. They will be asked if they have been in one of the locations of interest to isolate and to seek a test, and then to call Healthline in the first instance and to seek further advice. The risk for other travellers from New South Wales during that time remains assessed as low by our health officials here in New Zealand.
Are there any other states that need to be included in that, or is it only New South Wales?
No, it's only New South Wales at this point. Look, we've seen this in New Zealand before. Sometimes it takes a wee while to identify a likely kind of chain of transmission, and they'll be going through all the processes that we go through in New Zealand as well. You'll recall the Defence Force cluster that we dealt with late last year. We were never able to nail it down with absolute certainty. We ended up finding a probability that I think that one of the cases was on the opposite side of a road to one of the other cases, but we could never identify exactly how they came into contact with one another. But they'll be working as hard as they can to try and identify that.
Has that link been made to the possible one at MIQ through genome sequencing?
Yes, that's right. So the genome sequence.
So the genome sequencing of what changed.
That's right. Yeah.
How close are matches?
Sorry, and what are you satisfied that it's not more risk to people who have travelled here from Australia in that time frame in terms of needing them to do more, and how many people have travelled to New Zealand since that case?
I think from memory it's about 6,000 people during that period of time. Unless they've been in a location of interest, then obviously the risk is very low. But we'll be getting in contact with them. They'll be sent advice on what we're asking them to do.
Because obviously the location of interest could have been some time ago, and in the meantime they've travelled, come through a border, come to New Zealand. So how do you actually, obviously if no one's tested, that would be one aspect. Isn't that a big area of risk?
Between the arrival in Australia of the likely source case and now, we're not talking about a long period of time. We're talking, I think it's about 7-8 days. It's a reasonably short period of time that we're talking about. So I think they arrived on the 27th, get my maths right. So the likelihood, therefore, if that is indeed the source case, again, it means that for those in New Zealand now, the risk would be reasonably low.